Hello, hello, welcome. Let's get our pump us up song. It's not really a song per se. It's more of a yeah, it's clapping. If you've been here before, you know what to do. If not, just take in the energy, all right? Okay. All right. Hello. Thank you for tuning in to Voice Chats with Malika. I am Malika Amandi. I'm an executive coach and the founder of the Center for Women's Voice, where I help people communicate without apologizing or overanalyzing. Before we get into today's topic, I have a couple of announcements. If you are interested in spending some more time with me, there are a couple of offerings coming up that I want to share with you. The first is Ritual, Release, and Renew. This is a quarterly guided reflection that I lead online to support you in some introspection and visioning for yourself. It's a really powerful space to cut out the noise and go inward, which most of us don't have the opportunity to do in our day to day work. You can find out more information about that on my website or on my profile on LinkedIn. Uh, I think it's something that you will want to participate in if you've been enjoying these conversations. The second opportunity is uh, the chance to work with me as a coach. So I'm beginning executive coaching power groups starting in April. This is a transformational coaching experience where I lead a group of 4 women over 6 months, um, people who want to shift their relationship to their voice and grow in their leadership capacity. This is something that is relevant and useful wherever you are in your career. And it's such a powerful container for accountability, community, and transformation. So if you are interested, I would love to talk to you to see if this is a good fit for where you are right now. You can drop a comment here if you want me to get in touch, or you can reach out at info@centerforwomensvoice.com. All right. So today I want to share with you about a pivotal relationship, a pivotal moment in my relationship with power. We're talking about power this month and how that impacts our voice, how we relate to it, what it means to us. And this goes back to when I was in high school. I was a junior in high school, and I wanted to run for student body president. I had some ideas about how to get students more involved in school-wide activities, and I felt like I was pretty good at listening and leading, even at that tender age of 16. And I had never had the opportunity to be in a position of power like that before. But intuitively, I just knew that I could do it. So my best friend at the time, we'll call her Emmy, she also wanted to run for president. And when she found out that I was going to run, she pulled me aside after class one day and asked me if I would go for vice president instead. She said, it'll be so much fun to work together, and then we don't have to run against each other because that would be horrible. And I kind of thought, wow, I guess she's really thought it through, and maybe that's not such a bad idea. Like, I didn't want to have to compete against my best friend, and I definitely didn't want a power struggle. It would just be easier to switch positions. So I did. Now, kind of avoiding power often feels like the sensible and mature thing to do. Before our own desires, before our own ambition or potential, we often consider the collective, the peace of the group. And this is seen as wise and admirable. It's also a way that we can hold ourselves back. So I knew what Emmy was asking me to do was a little bit shady, but it just seemed like the easiest way to avoid a messy rift in our friendship. So cut to me making campaign posters for vice president. And my dad saw me and he asked me what was going on. Wasn't I running for president? And I explained the whole Emmy situation and why it just made more sense for me to run for VP. And my father flipped out. He expressed his disappointment and in what I now see as a shining parenting moment, he said, "That's unbelievable. Just because you don't want to upset Emmy, you're not going to run? Are you going to spend your whole life just avoiding hard things? How can you look at yourself in the mirror?" And at that time, my last name was Williams. He said, "How could you call yourself a Williams and look at yourself in the mirror?" So my dad has a flair for the dramatic, right? But his words really hit home. And I cried and I thought about it. And then I decided to run for president. You know, Emmy was surprised and upset. And the election, as far as high school elections go, was intense. We tied and there had to be a runoff. Ultimately, I won. And that was also the end of my friendship, my close friendship with Emmy. So there was some collateral damage, right? But I made it through. And I decided not to be a person who shrinks in the face of conflict. And I decided not to be a person who lets other people's fears keep me from stepping into my own power. So, in your own context, you might find yourself in situations where other people are threatened by your growing voice, your influence, your power. And who do you want to be in those moments? Are you willing to deal with the uncomfortable feelings that come up when you step into your own power? This is something that I navigate with so many clients. It can feel so scary to step into a part of yourself that you have not historically connected to, right? Because there wasn't the opportunity or you didn't have the confidence or the courage to move into that. And particularly when we are in certain dynamics in our maybe in our workplaces where the people in power look a certain way, right? Or um, we don't manifest our leadership in a way that other people recognize or are familiar with. People might literally be threatened by that changing, right? By the status quo shifting. And that can be a barrier to us stepping up, or it can be something that we move through. So I just want you to consider, what is your relationship to power? And you can look at experiences in your own personal history going back. I talked about this moment in high school because those are my formative years. Those time that stage in our lives is so powerful when we decide kind of how the world is operating and who it is we're going to be and what the rules are, right? So maybe you had an experience with power at that point in your life, or maybe it's something that's more recent. But I just encourage you to think about that, how you connect to power and how that is playing out in your own career. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I would love to hear your thoughts on this if you have an experience to share. I also want to remind you that if you are interested in working with me directly, I've got two things coming up: a guided reflection experience that's on March 26th. And in April, I'm launching executive coaching power groups. You can contact me through LinkedIn or send me a note at info@centerforwomensvoice.com. Either way, I would love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.